Is Gen Alpha the most materialistic generation ever, or the least? Wait, Suni carefully. While millennials collected sneakers and Gen Z hoarded skincare, Gen Alpha kids are literally trading digital skins that don't even exist in real life. A 12-year-old just spent his entire birthday money on Fortnite V-bucks. His parents think he's crazy. But what if I told you there's a deep psychological reason rooted in human history that explains why this generation chooses pixels over physical things? And it's not what you think. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll understand why Gen Alpha might actually be more spiritually evolved than any generation before them. Let's start with a shocking fact. According to recent studies, 73% of Gen Alpha kids prefer receiving digital items over physical toys for their birthdays. Physical toys, yeah. The same toys that made previous generations happy for months. But here's where it gets interesting from a psychological perspective. In Buddhist philosophy, there's this concept called non-attachment. The idea that true happiness comes when you're not obsessively clinging to material possessions. Now, I'm not saying these kids are becoming monks, but think about it. When you buy a digital skin or a virtual pet, you can't physically hold it, right? You can't show it off at school. You can't even really own it in the traditional sense. So why are they so drawn to things that technically don't exist? The answer lies in how our brains process ownership and identity. Our brains don't distinguish between virtual and physical possessions the same way our parents did. Modern neuroscience shows that when we interact with digital assets, the same reward centers light up as when we acquire physical items. But first, let me tell you about something that happened 500 years ago that'll blow your mind. Picture this. It's the 1500s. European explorers are discovering new lands, but back home, something revolutionary is happening. Books. Printed books are becoming accessible to common people for the first time. And guess what the older generation said? Young people are wasting their time and money on these useless things. They should be learning practical skills instead. Sound familiar? Now here's the fascinating part. Those books weren't real in the traditional sense either. They were just ideas, stories, knowledge, intangible things that couldn't be eaten, worn, or used as tools. But they changed everything. They shaped minds, created new belief systems, and literally transformed civilization. Gen Alpha's obsession with digital assets is following the exact same pattern. Their parents worry about Fortnite skins the same way grandparents worried about books. But there's a deeper psychological mechanism at work here that connects to something very primal in human nature. We've always been drawn to the intangible. To things we can't touch but can feel. Here's where psychology meets spirituality, dust. In Islamic philosophy, there's this beautiful concept that your true wealth isn't what you own, but what you can't lose. Your knowledge, your character, your experiences. Gen Alpha instinctively gets this without even realizing it. When a kid spends money on a Roblox avatar, they're not buying clothes for their body, they're buying identity for their soul. That digital asset represents who they are in a space where they spend 3 to 4 hours daily. It's more real to them than the physical shirt in their closet because it's a constant expression of self. Research from Stanford shows that children who engage with customizable digital environments show 40% higher creativity scores than those who don't. They're not just consuming, they're creating alternate versions of themselves. And psychologically, this is profoundly healthy. They're experimenting with identity in a risk-free space before committing to their physical selves. This connects to Erikson's psychological stages of development. In adolescence, identity formation is crucial. Gen Alpha is simply doing it in the digital realm. They're asking the fundamental question, who am I? And they're answering it through their digital skins, their virtual homes, their online personas. It's not different from how Gen X carved their identities through punk rock or fashion. It's the same ancient human need, just expressed through new technology. The most shocking part? Gen Alpha is actually learning impermanence. Every digital item can vanish. Every account can be deleted. Every virtual possession is temporary. This teaches them the core Buddhist principle that nothing is permanent, and that's actually liberating. They're not afraid of losing digital items the way we're terrified of losing physical possessions. They understand at a deep level that attachment to things, even virtual things, is ultimately futile. So here's the real truth. Gen Alpha isn't materialistic. They're post-materialistic. They've moved beyond the illusion that physical objects define worth. Their parents worry they're wasting money on things that don't exist. But Gen Alpha understands something ancient and wise: the most valuable things in life never did exist in physical form. Ideas exist. Creativity exists. Identity exists. Connection exists. And now they're doing all of it in the digital space. Maybe they're not confused about what matters. Maybe we are. By choosing the intangible, Gen Alpha might actually be choosing the most real thing of all.